Hi guys, thank you for joining me in and thank you for always supporting me and encouraging me with all your wishes. So today is a very special session because I'm super delighted to have Tom Heyman of Oscar Heyman's and Brothers, which is an American jewelry manufacturing firm and which is popularly known as the jeweler's jeweler. And the reason why they are known as the jeweler's jeweler is what Tom himself will explain us. So let me invite him. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay. We'll wait for you to come. Hi. How are you? How's everything in New York?
Everything is good. Beautiful day here in the city.
That's nice.
A little bit chilly, but very sunny.
Oh, that's lovely. So thank you for giving me your time and thank you for doing this for all of us. You know, we all are great admirer of Oscar Heyman's jewelry, so it's such a delight to have you here.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure and honor to be part of your live series. I've been following them and they're terrific. And
Oh,
thank you for doing that for everybody.
thank you so much. So I would just like to introduce Mr. Tom now. So since 1912, Oscar Heyman and Brothers has been creating magnificent jewelry with finest gemstone sourced from around the world. And every piece of jewelry is signed, numbered, assuring the quality Oscar Heyman has delivered over 100 years. And you know what, guys? It was my sheer pleasure to meet Tom Heyman for the first time at the Couture show in Las Vegas. And it was an absolute honor to see a magnificent jewel. And I'm so delighted that today we will share the same legacy with people across social media. So thank
Good.
you once again.
Oh, my pleasure.
So before we begin, I would like to know that what is the whole reason behind this title, the jeweler's jeweler?
So that's goes back actually before the company was founded a little bit. It's kind
Right.
of almost part of our DNA. Oscar and Nathan Heyman had done some training at a Fabergé shop in the Ukraine before coming to the United States.
Okay.
And then Oscar worked for Pierre Cartier in New York before the company was founded in 1912.
Okay.
Um, We've always made a tremendous amount of private label for the big American retail stores, Cartier, Tiffany,
Right.
back then Black Star and Frost, Gorham, Marcus and Company. And the nickname was given to us by five retailers that were participating in the 1939 World's Fair in New York.
Right.
During setup day, they realized that all five were clients of ours, and four of the five in their display of treasures had our pieces in their showcase.
Right.
And
So can you
they
point
coined the
us
phrase, I'm
which
sorry?
one? So can you point us which one is Oscar Heyman out here?
Oscar is the second from the right. Let me look at the picture I have a copy of the book
Oh,
also.
lovely. And thank you for sending me this copy all the way from New York. Thank you.
Right. I believe Oscar is the second from the right in the picture.
So right here.
And the other side, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So these are the six brothers, is it?
correct. And to his inside is my grandfather, Harry.
This one?
The other side.
Okay, so
Nope, the other side.
he's a grandfather, and that's Oscar Heyman.
Right. Yes. And they were all brothers. There were also two sisters that worked at the firm.
Lovely. Nice.
So,
Nice. So guys, before I get into a few questions with him, you guys are more than welcome to please pour in your questions. You know, we'll be more than delighted to answer most of them. So when did you first become interested in the world of jewelry?
my earliest memory, probably, I was 8 or 9 years old. I used to go into the office with my dad on school breaks and on Saturdays if he was working. And this one memory is, and they'd always give me something to do. This one memory, I was in the diamond office, and Bob, who is the head of our diamond loose stone office, in all seriousness, gave me a parcel of probably 20 or 30 point diamonds and a tweezer and a loop, and he instructed me very seriously, be very, very careful.
Right.
Pick up each stone, loop it, put it in little piles of 25 stones, weigh each pile, verify the weight on the parcel. And I spent several hours very carefully sorting all these stones. A couple hours later, my great Aunt Frances would come in and say, okay, it's time to go to lunch, which was the best part of the day. We'd go to Chock full of Nuts, which was an old luncheonette in those era. This is the 1960s.
Right.
And I'm sure as soon as we left, Bob would sweep everything up and put it away. And I was really just not wasting time, but what it taught me was a little bit of an appreciation of the beauty of the gems, but also that it's very detail-oriented, and by taking all these little parts, you can combine it into a beautiful piece of jewelry, and the whole process fascinated me.
Right. So you said that your love for diamonds and jewelry began when you were 8 years old, is it? Wow.
Probably 8 or 9.
Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. That's really like a long experience that you have.
You know, I grew up in the firm, so we would go in and out of the office a lot as kids.
Nice, nice, really nice.
Yeah.
So that I know for the fact that Oscar Heyman creates fabulous jewelry. So what sets you guys apart?
I think it's our attention to detail,
Okay.
and our attention to quality. We have a design aesthetic that is very graceful.
Okay.
And very consistent over time. Our construction, we pay a lot of attention to manufacturing. We do all the manufacturing ourselves in our own shop.
Right.
If you look at the underneath side of a piece of our jewelry, it's as finely finished, polished and engraved, the snap and the safety and the sidewall on a bracelet. And so we're paying attention to the details of the design, the gemstones, and then this construction, and all that together, it makes it a fine piece of jewelry.
Wow, absolutely. And I do remember when I visited you at a booth in the couture show, I had tried on this lovely star sapphire bracelet that was really phenomenal. I would like to show that bracelet to my audience. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's a gorgeous bracelet. We like playing with color.
Right.
So we contrasted the softer color of the star sapphires with the stronger blue of cabochon sapphires, and then a little sparkle of diamonds to give it a little sparkle. Yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing. So tell me, out of all these lovely gemstones that you're always designing around and working around, which is your favorite gemstone?
So mine changes actually all the time, depending on what our team has just acquired on a buying trip, or maybe what's just come out of the factory. At the moment, it's a ring with a 17-karat chrysoberyl cat's eye that we finished late last fall.
Is this the one? Because I do remember seeing this somewhere.
Yeah, that's the one. So what we did is the design we came up with was just to frame the cat's eye. It was such a beautiful stone, just to frame it in with diamonds. But instead of using round diamonds, we took square diamonds and cut them into slight trapezoids, so that you'd have an absolute solid frame of diamonds around the cat's eye. And the cat's eye is a beautiful milk and honey color.
Yes,
it's just gorgeous.
You can see it.
And very sharp eye.
Yeah, look at that. It's so gorgeous. So, I mean, like, do you source these gemstones all by yourself, or like from where do you get these exclusive gemstones?
Well, it's not me. We have a team that sources. Now it would be headed by my brother Louis, but he's got 2 other people, Paul and May, who help him 100% part of the team, and my older cousin Adam, who used to do all of our sourcing, is very much involved in the process, and they travel around the world looking for stones.
Right.
We buy them from everywhere.
Right. So somebody just commented that the cat's eye looks rare.
Looked rare?
Yeah, looks very rare. It's a very rare, beautiful stone. So yes, it is
Yeah, no, for sure. 17 carats is an extraordinary stone with
extraordinary.
such a good eye.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me, do you come to Mumbai or to India to procure any of your gemstones?
I've been there once in the early 90s with, again, my cousin Adam and my great uncle George, his
Okay.
father, for 3 or 4 days. We used to go all the time in
Okay.
the 60s and 70s and the 80s. We haven't gone in a couple of years. I think 3 or 4 years ago, my brother Louis and Paul went on a trip to Jaipur.
Oh, lovely
Yeah.
Jaipur. So next, when are you planning your trip to Mumbai or to Jaipur?
I don't have any plans at the moment, although after spending 3 days in Mumbai, I then traveled on my own for about 3 weeks just as a tourist, all over,
Right.
partially around India, and I loved it. I'd love to go back with my wife and kids.
Of course, you're more than welcome.
Look forward to it.
So moving on further, somebody's asked a question, from which mine is this cat's eye? So will you be able to have an idea on that?
I don't know that particular stone off the top of my head. I'm sure we have, I would think it's Sri Lanka,
Okay,
but I would have to look up our records in the lab report.
okay, okay, sure. So moving on, I would like to know that when you design a piece of jewelry, what is it that you keep in mind first? Is it the gemstone, or is it the design you have, or is it the setting that you have that always inspires you?
So I'm going to say yes to that, although
Okay,
it's not the setting. That would always come afterwards because we'll make the setting to fit the stones. But sometimes when our team is traveling to acquire stones, they will find something that's just gorgeous and they can't refuse to buy. It's just too pretty, even though we have nothing in mind to do with it. We come
right,
back to the office and show it to our designers and the staff at the office, and we'll all think about it. And sometimes the design comes out very
wow,
quickly, within a matter of days. Sometimes it's
wow,
weeks, and it could be months. There are stones that we've owned for
right,
many months, waiting for just the right project to bring out the beauty of the stone. At the same time, our designers are always coming up with really creative ideas. So there are times when they come up with a really fabulous design,
I'm
and then
sure.
we'll look into our extensive loose inventory to try and collect the stones for the design. And if we don't have them, we'll look to acquire them.
Right, right,
So it sometimes goes both ways.
right. And tell me, somebody's asked a question. Is there a metal preference when you design these beautiful rings, for example?
I'm sorry, is there a preference with?
Is there a preference of the metal? Is there any specific metal that you use?
We prefer to use platinum.
Lovely.
Matter of fact, prior to World War II, we were almost exclusively platinum. So that's all in platinum.
Okay.
I can't remember the clause on the cat's eye itself. I think are also platinum, sure.
Okay.
Prior to World War II, we really were almost exclusively platinum.
Okay.
During World War II, platinum was a restricted
Right.
metal, and so we did more with gold, and then afterwards we went back really to platinum until my uncle Marvin, who was assistant foreman in our factory to my grandfather, in the probably 70s, we started using more 18 karat yellow
Right.
gold.
Right. Right. Because I believe that was a time the whole retro era had just taken up. Correct.
Right. Yes.
Oh yeah. So Mukesh, yes, some words of Taylor Burton necklace, they are coming just for you. So moving on, I would like you to share some history behind these gorgeous jewels which are inside your book. And to
Terrific.
begin with, somebody has requested to talk about the famous Taylor Burton necklace. So let's go straight up to that.
Okay.
And this is a
So,
dream necklace and a favorite for every girl, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely gorgeous. The story that I've been told repeatedly was that we received a phone call, I believe it was on a Friday,
Okay.
from the Cartier salesperson Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor were in the store, had acquired the diamond, and had decided they wanted to make it into a necklace. And they were going out to lunch, and the salesman called and said, "Could we have some designs over at the showroom, you know, within a couple of hours when they returned from lunch?" And we were only a couple of blocks away from Cartier.
Okay.
So we stopped all our designers, and we prepared probably 5 or 6 or 7 different designs, and we brought them over. And at the end of the day, the salesman called back to say, "Congratulations, they picked one of your necklaces.
Wow.
So you have an order." The caveat is that it has to be finished in just under a week because they have somewhere to wear it. So if you flip to the next page, there's a picture of our actual shop design.
Okay, let me see. Oh, this one.
Right, and it's got all of our notes of the different settings and things that we created for it. So we had to not only make the necklace, we had to make sure we had a complete suite of matching pear-shaped diamonds that were the right tapering to fit the necklace. And we worked Saturday and Sunday and long days, and we finished it just in time.
Lovely.
And I think my cousin Adam recalls telling Cartier it was done, and then going down and meeting the salesman on a street corner, getting in a cab together, driving a couple of blocks, handing over the necklace and jumping out. And the salesman then continued to Kennedy Airport, flying to Monaco, where the next day he gave it to Elizabeth Taylor, who wore it that evening at Princess Grace's 40th birthday party.
Wow. So I believe you mentioned this necklace was made in 1 week's time. Is it?
We made it in one week.
Wow.
Yeah. We worked very long days, Saturday, Sunday, to basically our whole shop stopped to make this necklace.
Wow. And this is truly a masterpiece. Of course, you know, it's a dream necklace for every girl. And just look at those minute detailing that you've mentioned here.
Right.
Guys, if we look at this.
We keep in our archives all of our old renderings of pieces as a reference.
Right, because I do remember when I came to your New York workshop, you had shown me the entire archives, you know, of almost how many billions of archives do you have, right? That's what I believe in.
Yeah, we when the Boston Museum of Fine Art was researching their book, and they had Beth Ram in our office for a couple of years doing research. She calculated we had a little over 200,000 hand-painted designs.
200,000?
And about 200,000. Wow. And then about 1 million pieces of paper in the archives, work records and stone records and all sorts of things.
Wow, this is amazing. Guys, do you have any questions pertaining to this necklace before we move on to something else? Okay. So now, you know, I've always seen the famous US flag, you know, on social media, be it any events. This is one of my second favorite jewel. Right. So can you please give us some insight and some story about this wonderful jewelry?
Sure. So our family has always felt a real appreciation and debt of gratitude to the United States for helping them as new immigrants come in and get established and being successful in business. And so we've always liked making patriotic jewelry.
Right.
So we have 5 or 6 different model American flags as brooches and cufflinks. We've made eagles. We've made eagles holding flags. We've made, during World War II, we made service pins. This flag was commissioned by Black Star and Frost Gorham in 1917 during World War I, and was slated to be auctioned off to help the war effort. And the story that I understand is before, right, so there's some other pieces that we've made. That before the auction happened, World War I ended. And subsequent to that, the flag was donated to the Boston Museum of Fine Art.
Wow.
And it's the earliest flag that we know of that we made.
Wow. And this is some details of this beautiful flag. You said it's made in sapphires. And
so it's all platinum, and then it is diamonds for some of the stripes and the stars, and sapphire for the field of blue, and rubies for the other stripes.
Wow, lovely. It's so spectacular. It's just so simple and just so elegant, you know, and so graceful.
Thank you.
Moving on, I do remember about the firm celebrating its 25th anniversary, and there was a lovely clock. So guys, you have to see this clock. It's really phenomenal.
So the story on this clock, it was made by the employees, started in 1936,
Okay.
for our 25th anniversary in 1937.
Okay.
And it was made in our shop. I'm always told in secret, although I would have to imagine my grandfather, who ran the shop, knew it was happening. The globe is a sterling silver globe etched with a map of the world.
Okay.
The hands and the numbers spell out O. Heyman and Brothers
Right.
and are all in 22 karat gold.
Okay.
There are actually 6 columns that are in a circle, one for each of the original brothers,
Okay.
that are again in silver, and the columns are about a foot tall, maybe even a little more. So the clock is quite large.
Wow.
Inside the columns is a miniature jeweler's bench with tools representing the craft, and then the 2 figures
right here
are represent craftsmen and management working together. Oh. We're very, very proud of it. It's always resided in our lobby.
Wow.
For people to see.
Oh, lovely. And how about these here? What are these?
So those are bronze figures, one representing the craft, a craftsman, and one representing management, working together.
Wow, beautiful. So guys, in case you all can see, I will post a picture of this. Here you can see it's Oscar Heyman written. I hope you guys can see it clearly.
Right.
I think it's O. Heyman. What is it that's written here?
O. Heyman and Bros.
Yes, absolutely stunning. And this was a complete surprise made by the craftsmen of the company.
And it was made by the craftsmen. Took about 2 years to make, is what I'm told.
2 years to make, and nobody knew about what's going on? Like, it was a complete surprise?
No, I think my grandfather knew about it. There are stories of him coming upon the craftsman who was making one of the columns, and the craftsman said they were a pair of candlesticks for his wife. And so I would have to imagine that we knew, that at least my grandfather knew what was going on.
Yeah. Wow, that's a very well kept secret for 2 years, and the outcome is just magnificent.
Yeah.
So next I would like to ask you about is this beautiful necklace which I've seen here, which is the Linde star necklace. So tell us something about this now. Yeah.
So that's an interesting piece. It is a necklace we made for the 1964 World's Fair, commissioned by the Linde Star Company, that about 15 years earlier had patented the process of making Linde Star sapphires. And it was worn all throughout the fair by the queen of the fair at all the different functions. It has kind of 2 pendants. One is a 20 plus carat Linde Star surrounded by diamonds, and then a second removable pendant that looks like the earth, in star sapphires for the oceans, and then diamonds for the continents.
Lovely.
And when the museum was researching our book, they came across the design and some pictures and a lot of history about it. It was all very exciting. Just by coincidence, last summer, a dealer called up, a jewelry dealer, to say that he had a necklace he thought was ours, and would we authenticate it for him, which we like to do. We love seeing our old pieces coming in from all different directions. And he described it as the workmanship, and it looked really like our quality, and it had a number on it, but he was very confused because it had Linde stars, and he didn't realize we did anything with Linde stars. And right away we thought it could be this necklace, and in fact he sent it in, and it was this necklace. It was missing the earth pendant.
This one you mean?
Correct. And the second pendant, the stones had been taken apart, but it still had the stones.
Wow.
So we reset it, and it was just a very exciting piece of our history to see.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And I remember flipping through a beautiful crown made of complete gold and emerald. Let me find that for you. Which page is that? Let me just look up. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, this one. I was amazed at the emeralds and the gold used in this massive jewelry. Guys, can you see this? Just look at the size of the emeralds, and the quality of the emeralds, and the texture of the gold is so beautiful.
So almost a strange story, but interesting story. That crown it's called the Crown of the Andes.
Okay.
It's a pretty famous crown. It was made about 500 years ago in Colombia. Um, there are all sorts of conversations of why it was made. The one I like best was there was a town that survived some catastrophe and gave it to the church as thanks. It's made in 20 karat gold,
Okay.
has 1,500 carats of emeralds.
1 second. You said
Um,
1,500 carats of emeralds?
1,500 carats of emeralds.
Wow.
Um, and I can't remember, I think it's 5 or 10 pounds in weight, the whole thing. It's quite large.
Whoa.
It's very impressive.
Right.
We acquired it during the Great Depression in the 1930s from a dealer that owed us money, and he used that to settle his debt.
Okay.
And we owned it for a long, long time, and it was a PR marketing object for us. And so it traveled around the country,
Right.
being on display at retail jewelry stores. It was in Chicago at the opening of the Hancock Tower, 1950s. And it often resided at Cartier in New York. They had a special booth for it with
Right.
a velvet rope and a red carpet leading up to it.
You're serious? They had a special setup for this gorgeous
For that,
jewelry?
right. And then it was acquired about 5 years ago by the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art, the
Okay.
Met, and has been on display a couple times since then. And you should see it. It's really impressive.
Okay, so in case if anybody wants to see this, they will have to go to the National Art Museum in Boston.
No. The Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City.
Oh, in New York City itself. Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll just have to make a trip to New York very soon now.
Right.
Okay, guys, if you have any questions about these jewels, please let me know. And there's another emerald necklace. I can go on and on admiring at the jewels, in this book. This one is also very stunning.
So very classic, gorgeous necklace. Again, platinum, emeralds, and diamonds. All the emeralds are cut into the spots where they go.
Wow.
And we made that again in the 1950s.
Okay.
And we lost track of it completely until a number of years ago. It was owned by Elizabeth Taylor, and it was in the Christie's auction of her items, and it had been given to her by Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
And kind of a little bit of a funny story. They sent it to us to authenticate and find any records we could, and so we had it in our office for about a month, studying it, and it was just kind of fun to have, and again, a piece of our history and a piece of the history connected to Elizabeth Taylor.
Right. So somebody's asked a very interesting question that, do you make any jewelry for the Indian royals?
For the Indian royals?
Yes.
Not that I know of, but there's lots of things in our history that we have forgotten about, like this necklace, until it came into the public eye again.
Right.
So I can't say no for sure.
Right. So tell me, flipping through, which is your favorite piece of jewelry from this book?
So my favorite piece of jewelry from that book is a piece we made about 20 years ago.
Okay.
For a company called J.E. Caldwell and Company. They were a very, very fine retail jeweler founded in the 1800s in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And we worked very closely with them starting in about 1914. That's it with the colored stones. So it took, the whole piece took, I'm going to say, 4 or 5 years to make. It started with a client walking into the store with an 8-carat round diamond saying he just wanted a simple pendant.
This one?
Well, sure. Not sure which one was the original diamond.
Okay.
And he worked with Kevin, who is the store manager, and a friend of mine, Kevin Kozlowski, and he called me up and said, would we make a pendant? And together we decided, let's suggest a ring pendant. It's an important stone. We like doing complicated pieces. We like doing mechanical pieces. And we didn't realize until it was presented to the client that he loved mechanical stuff. And he just took off from that point. And so over a 4-year period, we made that necklace, which contains he owns in his suite 4 8-carat round diamonds, a similar diameter yellow diamond, blue sapphire, pink sapphire.
Wow.
Each of the 7 stones has a removable jacket.
Okay.
So this necklace, the front of the necklace can accommodate any 4 stones in any jacket in any position.
Okay.
We also then made several brooches and several rings that any of the stones, with or without their jackets, could go into those pieces. And then he had the idea of removing the front of the necklace, making a whole new front of the necklace that would accommodate any 4 stones without their jacket. So that was the small necklace. Those are the small
Whoa.
necklace would have 4 8-carat round stones in it. And
Wow.
the big necklace would have 4 8-carat stones with their jackets.
And this is
It was an
again,
extraordinary piece.
made in platinum.
Mostly in platinum. The yellow diamonds were set in 18-karat yellow gold, and I'm not sure about the pink sapphires at the moment. The suite came with its own custom-made box that everything could accommodate, and 7 screwdrivers.
Seven
He wanted
screwdrivers.
7 screwdrivers. He wanted to make sure that if he ever separated it,
Right.
each center stone with a jacket with several connectors to work on different sorts of necklaces could be operational. And so it all came with each stone came with its own screwdriver.
Wow.
Very
Guys,
exciting piece.
I mean, I can just go on and on talking about and flipping through the pages of this book. It's so beautiful. So moving on, I would like to know that was there any patent, which was given to the company in terms of design patent?
So design patents, I think we have one design patent, which was in the late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
But we have 8 or 9 patents in the process of making jewelry. The first, this was my great uncle Nathan, who is the oldest of the first generation. He was a machine, tool and die shop guy, a machine shop guy. It's supposed to be genius.
Piece of jewelry, which is your personal favorite piece of jewelry?
So my personal favorite is not in the book. It's not so big and impressive.
Ah.
It's a sailboat
Okay.
that was designed based on a photograph of a Raven class sailboat, which is a 24-foot centerboard sailboat. Right, that's the brooch. And this is from the photograph. It had the edge was painted green, which we did in emeralds, and it's got the waves and number 49 engraved on the spinnaker. And that's a boat that I grew up with that my family had.
Okay.
And so our boat was number 49, and it's my mom's pin. And I
Lovely.
always imagine that one of the 2 sailors sitting in the back of the boat would be me, although we normally sailed with 3 or 4 or 5 people. It was a big boat.
So tell me that is sailing your pastime hobby? Do you yet go for sailing?
I love sailing. Yeah, I love and I love racing. When growing up, we raced in local races every Sunday.
Nice. So are all these pieces handmade? That's a question asked by somebody.
So handmade. I'm going to say yes, although we prior to the mid-1930s, we did no casting.
Okay.
We do die strike most of our components still today, so we die strike our settings and we pull our own wire, and we make our components in the tool and die room. We do casting today, so some components we casting, but there's almost no piece we have that is all casted. So we hand fashion some pieces, we die strike some pieces, and we might use some components that are casted, and then we put it together by hand.
Wow, that's a stunning approach.
That's a brooch that is owned by the Boston Museum of Fine Art, bought in 2007.
Okay.
The carved emerald, actually was carved in India. I think one side was carved in the 1800s and
Wow.
one side in the,
Yeah.
I don't remember, the early 1800s and late 1800s, or but they were carved at 50, 80 years apart. And we made the brooch in the 1930s and sold it to Marcus and Company, and they sold it to Margaret Meriwether Post, who's on her portrait's on the back of the book.
Oh, right here.
And I believe the portrait is also owned by the Boston Museum of Fine Art, and she's wearing
She's wearing
the
that.
brooch.
Yeah.
Right, there it is.
That is nice.
And she was a big collector of jewelry and a big philanthropist. She's got a very interesting history. Part of the post-Cereals family.
Right. That's simple. So now moving on, like, I believe that the brand value plays such an important role. So, how are you sustaining today in the very competitive market?
So we are working very hard every day at maintaining and increasing the quality of our pieces, which I think keeps our position in the market as really one of the best manufacturers in the world.
Right.
We are very much in touch all the time with our retail partners to know what is being well received, what is being requested by their customers, and we are active on social media in things like this and on Instagram to stay in touch with consumers, to have feedback from younger consumers particularly, to try and stay as relevant as we can.
Right. So you just mentioned that you work very closely with your retailers. So how do you ensure your retailers that the jewelry that you're manufacturing for them is exactly what their customers had placed an order for?
So if it's a custom order, we go through a process where we work with our designers and the store, and we will send designs back and forth, sometimes suites of loose stones for the client to actually see and approve.
Okay.
We've been doing it for so long that we are very good at it. So we have absolute confidence that we can make the piece correctly and the customer will like it. But we stay very closely in touch with our retail partners so that there are no surprises along the process.
Right. So then how do you maintain a good relationship between your retail partners, your customers, the whole CRM?
So our salespeople spend a lot of time staying in touch with the stores. They are in the stores often.
Wow.
Getting to know the buyer at the store, the sales manager, the salespeople, and through the store getting to know what their clients like and the personality of the store and the personality of the clients. And so we really feel the relationships are very important, and we work hard at kind of constantly being in contact.
And now with the current situation going on, what are your expertise, for the trade shows? I mean, since we don't have many of the trade shows as scheduled for.
I think that the trade shows this year are not going to happen, of course. Next year, I would hope that they will.
Right.
Trade shows for us are a important vehicle just to continue and strengthen relationships with the stores.
Right.
As well as to meet new stores kind of on, if you will, neutral ground where it's non-threatening. They can come in and see our collection and meet us, and we can start the process of getting to know them. We like having very long time relationships. So we have stores that we have worked with, for 50, 60, 70 years,
wow.
And some more, as well as suppliers from around the world. And those we're happy to take the time
right.
to properly get into a relationship that's going to sustain itself.
Right. So I would like to add something out here, since you mentioned about you guys actually take proper time. So I would like to share, from my experience when I visited you at the couture show and when I came by your booth, I do remember, with such enthusiasm and with so much passion and love, you were actually showing me each and every piece of your jewelry. So, I was so amazed and I was so happy to witness such spectacular jewels, because I've always heard of the brand name Oscar Heyman. So when I was making my visit, for the couture show, Oscar Heyman was the first brand which I wanted to visit. And trust me, I
Right.
was amazed and I was honored to see those spectacular jewels, and more because you were there to explain me the detailing and the finishing and the gemstones used.
Right.
So thank you for giving that wonderful time, and of course for
Oh,
maintaining this long relationship that we have maintained, for over the past 1 year. It's really
it's
incredible.
our it's our pleasure. We love making jewelry. We love beautiful things, and we love sharing it with people.
Of
So we're
course.
always happy to meet new people in the industry,
Right,
whether they are retailers or
right,
other designers, manufacturers, or just enthusiasts.
right. Absolutely, yes. Um, so now, how has the selling technique changed, over a period of years, having a legacy of almost 100 years? So the selling techniques have changed from then and to now. So can you elaborate a bit on that?
So in the consumer today, I think, in many ways, can be more educated
Right,
through the internet, through the store's websites, through our website,
right,
about jewelry, and will often come into a store with an idea of what they want.
right.
And it's very important, as it's always been, that the store staff and our staff is very knowledgeable in current gems and gemology and what's going on. Today's consumer is also more interested in kind of the whole experience of buying jewelry. So
Right.
often it's a longer process. We're very happy when a store comes to New York with a client and has a private tour of our offices, which is always a lot of fun. And the client then goes back home, hopefully with a piece of jewelry and also an experience that they can share with their family and their friends.
Right. Somebody's asked an interesting question. Any recommendation on where to train for high jewelry manufacturing?
I'm sorry, documentation on
So somebody wants to know where can they train for high jewelry manufacturing?
where can they train. So there are a number of art schools in the U.S. that have jewelry programs. Pratt and has one in New York City. RISD has one. And there are a number of art schools that have jewelry training programs. Although that gives you really the beginning of a foundation, and then
Right.
you need to work somewhere and
Of
spend
course.
years honing the craft.
Of
Craft.
course.
It's a long process to really become a master craftsman.
Of course. Of
It's
course.
it's a challenging skill that takes time.
Yes, yes. But I believe that if you have a vision that you want to achieve something, then you will definitely achieve that particular dream of yours.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Let me see if there's any more question. Uh, okay, I want to know that have color gemstone taken over white natural diamond? Uh, do you think that's what the new trend for the upcoming years is going to be?
So we've always been a colored gemstone house. We love them. They're
Nice.
fascinating. They're interesting. They're very varied. Um, diamonds today. For example, engagement rings. Most engagement rings are diamond engagement rings. Although there are a lot that are sold with colored stones. Um, I think there are a lot of people who are very unique and expressive and fall in love with colored gemstones, and they're perfectly, they're more creative, they're more individual. Um, in some ways, a 2 carat diamond is very similar to another 2 carat diamond, but every 2 carat sapphire is going to have a different play of color and hue and saturation and be unique. So we love the combining colors and using colors. And I don't think the consumers should be concerned about it. They should go for it.
Right. So what is the best advice that you have received?
The best advice that I've
Yes,
received,
that you have received. Somebody wants to know that.
um, I think the best is to follow a passion,
Yes.
to find something that um, to find something that I really love and to work hard at it. probably the best advice actually has been to continually try and learn new things. All through my career, both personal and business-wise. That keeps life interesting. It keeps it exciting. If you're learning new things, you're always growing. You're never getting stale.
Right, right.
That would be the best advice I think and that's advice I would give as well.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask you that is there any particular advice that you want to share with all the audience listening to you right now?
I'm sorry?
Is there any other particular advice that you would love to share with the audience?
I think that it's important, always, but I guess in today's world at the moment,
right.
to always look for things that are beautiful in life, right. That make you smile, that are good occasions or good events, and to celebrate them.
Oh,
and the more we can do that, the better.
Yes. So guys, before Instagram shuts us down, if you have any questions, please be free to ask us. We have precisely like 2 or 3 minutes with us. Money making in diamonds or color stone in jewelry. What do you mean? I'm not too sure what the question actually means. If you can elaborate that question a little better. So that's on that. Something that you want to share about your, the highlights of your career at Oscar Heyman?
Well, I'm hoping my career at Oscar Heyman is going for another number of years. I think that one of the best things for me in this industry are all the wonderful people that I've met. Both current and former employees, store owners and store salesmen and suppliers, some of whom I've now had a 3-decade relationship with. The industry is full of great people. It's a good industry. Right. And I think that for me is probably the best part of working in the jewelry industry, more so than any of the gems in particular are the people that I've met, and right. like yourself and others from around the world. Right.
So guys, this is it. In case if you have any more questions, please feel free to either message Tom directly on the Oscar Heyman account, or you can also DM me. We'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So with that, I would love to thank you for giving me all your precious time. And we really look forward to seeing you in Mumbai. You have to let me know when you're next making a trip to Mumbai after the entire lockdown. It will be my utmost pleasure.
It would absolutely be a pleasure. I hope to visit, and thank you very much for hosting this. And it's been a lot of fun. Not quite as scary as I thought. And I want to thank you and everyone who is listening. I appreciate the audience.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.